Hello, everybody. I'm Ed Parcaut, and this is. I know you're going. What? ACES53 at 1:30 time, 2 in the afternoon on a Pacific. That's correct. We
Just
wanted
we're
to.
testing new time zones, see how it
That's right.
works out.
That's the issue is we've had a busy week, Brian and I, and we
Yeah.
still wanted to do our show today, but unfortunately, I had some stuff happen this morning. And if you don't know what ACES53 is, that's what I ran into in college, where they talked about four aces and a joker, and it was about attitude, commitment, enthusiasm, and smile, which stands for the aces. And the joker is that unique ability you bring to sales, whether it could be your good looks like me, or like Brian, I guess, or
Yeah.
for me, it was my tone. I could understand people, their voice, their tones, inflections in their voice. And then I also realized, I guess 18 years later, I had a deeper voice. So that was my unique ability. Because I remember my wife telling me, yeah, when you called the war, they were like, there's this guy with this really deep voice on the phone.
It's probably a bill collector.
That's right. Oh, you just lost somebody. They don't want to hear about it.
There you go.
Anyway,
No, you're
so
ahead, right? Was Chris Voss talk about the late night DJ's voice?
mhm.
So you're already there.
Yeah, well, it's just whatever works for you. Then you add a SMB, sure SMB, and then it really helps.
Yes.
All right. So for me, I don't know if anybody's tried to move offices or anything and move a phone line that's supposed to be so easy today with like accessibility, and then they end up canceling your freaking line because nobody knows what they're doing.
You'd think that as many people, especially after COVID, now people are giving up leases, that they'd be experts in that area.
Yeah.
They're definitely not.
No, because I
But
talked to one guy what the technicians that last week put him in the place. It was like, okay, they're going to migrate your number over. Well, they couldn't get it to migrate. And they connected me with the sales guy who helped all those guys, the technicians. When there's an issue, he's the one they go to.
yeah.
And so he's like, dude, I have no idea what they're doing. And this lady lied to us. So I don't know what's going to happen to her, but we'll figure all that out. But we had to, it's weird because they had to put it back to my old building.
That's interesting.
I can't. My wife's dog just opened my door. How the fuck did that happen in my studio? Anyway, so they had to put it back in my old office, but not in my office, but in the room. I'm like, okay, I don't even have access to any of this anymore, but the AT&T guy did. So he did it, and it's all forwarded now until they can get it all fixed. I tell you.
Little things. Oh, no, it's interesting when you brought that up. It made me think this morning. Did you see WeWork filed for bankruptcy again?
No, again?
Yeah, well, they almost went under a few years ago, but yeah, I saw something today that they filed for Chapter 11, and they're going to try and renegotiate all their leases. And they are the biggest co-working space, shared offices, whatever you want to call it, out there. Where they had in New York a few years ago, the guy basically was overspending the money that owned it way back in the day.
Shocking.
And there's entire communities that like they had a WeWork building where you lived in the building like a college dorm. And then you basically went down and went to work, and it was all these startups and young entrepreneurs and everything else. But yeah, I saw this morning on one of the email sessions I get on like what's going on in the stock market and everything that, WeWork filed. And they're wondering what the impact was. But you got to hear the stat. Let me see if I can find it real fast.
Well, let me throw in real quick. So I know about WeWork because the first speakeasy I went to that you just got back from was in San Francisco. And we actually went to ManyChat, and they were in a WeWork facility. Yeah.
Okay.
And they were like, well, we don't really want to have people in here because, we're not really. And Steve, like, this is what my entrepreneurs wants to see.
Yeah.
And that was actually great. That was when 2-day events were one day we went somewhere and one day in the classroom.
Oh, that's right. He was talking about that. I was always after the fact because I was post-COVID.
And those are the best. And that's what most people liked.
Yeah.
And so we went to Tesla the first day and then ManyChat. And then the next day we were in a room, and that room they brought in Squadcast. It just was a startup. They had just started up and getting that going. And that was before they went to video. And I mean, we're talking years ago.
Yeah.
And they had so many people come in. It was amazing at that point. So it was nice as it's close to me. So if I ever wanted to go over there, I could go right back over there. Kind of like you in Dallas all the time. You and your dad in Dallas.
Well, yeah, lucky for me, Go High Level and a few other people. More and more people are starting to have conferences here in Dallas. So, all right, I found it. So, back in 2019, their valuation was $47 billion. And then in 2021, it was $1.5 billion. And right now it's 44.5 million. They filed for Chapter 11 on Monday night. So yeah. So it says, yesterday in bankruptcy court, WeWork asked landlords representing nearly $3 billion of the failed company's debt to please be open to renegotiating or canceling their leases.
Well, they're probably going to cancel their leases.
Well, yeah. So
what they should do is forget organization, just close up and start up under a MeWork.
Yeah, something. So they want to break 69 leases in out of their 600 locations. 41 of those are in New York City, which that's not a surprise.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. Everybody's moving out of their offices, but
the other one is all in San Francisco.
Right. All right. So that was just happening in mind when you were talking about that today, that I think the cable companies will be getting far better at that. But going to, you mentioned before, I was gone and went to a mastermind on Sunday and then to the Speakeasy in New Orleans on Monday, Tuesday. And there were some cool speakers. There was the first lady who talked about how to create irresistible offers. And she came from a pretty big funnel company back in the day. But really interesting story because 3 kids, she got divorced and got pregnant in the same month. But what she created, and she gave some great examples of, how do you create your value ladder? How do you move people through the sale, through your company? And she went through the different ones of like, what's something that's going to excite them? What's the next level? What's your established offer after that? So they were using an example of like, what if you're using weight loss? So the excitement is lose 30 pounds in 30 days. Then after that, what are you going to provide them with? What's your established offer? So like workouts, nutritional guides. And then what's the thing that you're going to create that is a high level ticket item that only so many people will use? Like 5 to 10% of the people are willing to take your high ticket item. And then the thing that made Russell the most famous, because we've talked about his book over here, is the order bump. So what's something that you can, inexpensive $10, $20 extra that increases the ROAS, or return on ad spent. And then after that, then what is your one-time offer, the upsell? And the big thing that she said about that is that can be a one-time more expensive offer that's there, but you have to be, if it really is a one-time, don't offer it on your webpage at the same price later on, because then you break credibility with people. Yeah. So that was kind of cool. She went in deep, and it's really crazy to watch the people who can just think of funnels in their head real fast. Like they're just, okay, what do you do? What's your business? And she would just come up with stuff on the fly. And it's fun to watch, like the spark in people's brain when they're learning to figure out that kind of stuff. So it's kind of neat.
Well, it's each one of us is good at what we do.
Yes.
Right. And she's good at what she does. You sent me the link. I went on there. I was like, those are some pretty funnels.
Mm-hmm. That's what they have. Right. But she did say they all need to be specific. So, the better the picture you paint, the more successful it'll be. It has to be tangible, meaning it's got to be measurable. Right. It's got to be repelling. It's got to piss off some people. And that was an interesting one, is everybody thinks, I got to have everybody like me. Mm-mm. And then what makes it proprietary? So why is it we see the same things that kind of circle back every few years? And then aspirational, it has to pull people in. So it's one of those things that when you hear it, you're like, oh yeah, okay, that makes perfect sense.
It sounds like marketing.
Yeah. But it's funny because you don't think about, like, they gave the example when they were talking about, because the example was, all right, ask us for one. And somebody has a medical weight loss company. And they're like, hey, look, if you go look at it, the South Beach diet was popular for a while. And then after that, what was the one that was after South Beach that was really popular?
Atkins.
There you go. And I think, yes, whichever one of those came first. And then now, of course, paleo's out there. And what was the other one they talked about? Keto diet. And then you got bulletproof diet. So all these things are diets, but they just kind of get rebranded, and then they have to have their own proprietary name and everything to them. So that was an interesting first lady. And then one of the tips that she gave was, for anything that you're going to sell that's over $500, it needs to have a educational piece to help them learn why. So do you have a video sales letter to go with your product, instead of just saying, hey, here's my product, buy it? Is there a launch formula that you can put with it? And the most popular thing right now is, do you want to do a multi-day challenge where people can come in, kind of like test drive you for a little bit, and then buy into your products afterwards?
Well, that'd be like the free test drive, right? Those things that most of those softwares like ClickFunnels and Go High Level, they give you a 15-day trial or a 30-day trial period. You know? So and the whole High Level is depending on who that person is.
Exactly.
Because you can go in there and adjust those days, by the way.
Yep. And then the one last piece of advice that she really gave that was good was don't be cheap in the beginning. And the normal thought process is, let me get started with a cheap $49, $97, $197 offer until people trust my product. She said, no, actually start in the opposite way. Come in with a higher end product, right? If you're whatever you're an expert in, create a high end product, then you can afford, once you get the business going, to help people down to lower levels. And that was one I've not heard before.
Well, yeah, you have.
Have
Somebody
I?
we know says raise your fucking prices.
Right, but they're saying raise your prices.
I
not
understand, but
start out high and then,
but we always start out low.
True.
I'm just saying
because we think like we buy, right? You don't go out and buy a Ferrari. Usually you start at a lower car. And then as you make money, then you think, okay, I can afford nicer things. And in the sales side, everyone's saying to do the opposite of that, right?
So
Have a high level product.
What are you saying? Flashcards are out?
No, they're still there. Well, there's cheaper things than the flashcards. Yeah.
Well, but they're not $900.
Right. True. So that's
you
what
need to
they're
get in
saying.
group. You need to create group coaching, and
Right.
individual coaching is what you need to create.
I had a conversation with somebody we'll talk about offline about that this morning, because that's how they got their thing really going.
I'm just saying that's where you have to do it. And that's what my plan. I've been telling you about my guy. That's Go High Level guy. He's been changing everything. I mean, I'm getting calls now from Google that I would never get before, because he went in and fixed all that shit that wasn't fixed, that wasn't done right. Not that anybody did it wrong. It just, you don't, dude, we're not Google experts. We don't know everything.
Right.
But he does. And I'm like, holy shit, what a difference. How my name comes up, and how fast my website is, and how fast everything shows up. I was going to go with Rob, but this guy's in my Rotary, and gave him a chance, and everybody's like, Ed's been talking some really good stuff about you, and he doesn't give anybody any good information. What, I forget exactly what they said. He doesn't,
like your grumpy old Ed.
No, what it is,
Ed never says anything nice about anybody.
That's right, and he's saying a lot of nice stuff about you. Just. I do have a grumpy old veteran T-shirt that my daughter gave me, so I was wearing it the other day. It was funny. Everywhere I went, the women were like, "Oh, that's funny."
Yeah. Then another guy came up. He talked about like what's helping him to book podcasts and then gigs this day and age. Then of course he talked about like the one you've talked about before, Podcast Match.
No, it's Pod Match.
Oh, is it Pod Match?
Podcast Match. I don't know of any there might be a Podcast Match, but I'm on Pod Match.
Maybe it was Pod Match. I was half listening. I got the other stuff.
Well, let's go back to that. The issue with Pod Match is I've had some good ones on there, but again, it's like a Tinder. You got to go through a lot to get to the right stuff. So that's the issue. But it does allow
you to find somebody who's already in the niche that either you want to be in or the space you want to be in. Right. It helps it narrow it down from there. But like you said, you got to fight through the masses of people, because everybody's got a podcast. Is it a good one? Is it a bad one? You don't know, but it's at least start gathering the information versus asking only your friends, "Hey, you got a podcast?"
Well, I put it out there on the Facebook. I want to get on a bunch of podcasts in the next 2 months. Anybody got one?
Yeah, I see that all the time. Drives me nuts.
I want to hit 100. Actually, the only person I helped out who put a post like that was Eric.
You're talking about Eric
G.
Yeah. Okay. That's what
I was like, you made that post. I want to help you. Plus, I want to know more about you because I've been following you on Instagram. And
he's a good guy. I got to meet him at one of the prosperity camps, and he
who just hit me up on LinkedIn was Eric Sims.
I like that dude.
He's a great guy. He's funny. He's
a big burly chiropractor, right? He's just comical, and like every time that there was a break or anything going on, he's fixing people. So you saw the pictures in the speakeasy, because what does he do? He has got to hurt you first so that you get rid of the pain. So there's all these people where he's working on, they're all like, so Pam was taking pictures of them all. Matter of fact,
that was for malpractice suit.
There you go. Do you know who Atiba is? The guy that's got the Superman hat. Do you remember him from Traffic and Conversion?
Probably not. I have to see him.
Yeah, he was the MC that brought in Martha and some of the other people.
Yeah,
and he always wears a Superman hat.
Yeah.
And so he's been to the last 2 speakeasies. And one of the things that he does that's really cool is he does dinner with friends. So he had all of his people. He lists a few different softwares that he uses. I forgot what they were, but It's something like, earth.clay or clay.earth or something like that, where when you know your contact's information, it tells you geographically where they located. So he sets up dinner with friends, and ideally it's no larger than 15 people. But if he knows he's going to a city for an event, then he tries to get up to 15 people to go to a very low key restaurant, and everybody pays for whatever they handle. Right now, he lets the restaurant know ahead of time, because what he does is he organizes it, and then everybody gets a chance to talk about what they do. And sometimes it's, if he's with a group of people that are coming in from out of town, well, this day and age, you don't have to work in the same area as somebody. So if there's several people going to the same conference he's going to, then he adds in local people that run in different circles but can help each other out. And I actually went to one of the ones he did here in is Fort Worth, so like 30, 40 minutes away from where I live. But I met someone who's going to help me with offers and looking at some other things. So you never know when you're going somewhere. Don't just go. It's already going to be a business write-off anyway. Why not try and put unique people together? And I thought that was something cool that Atiba does very, very well.
What do you mean offers?
What's that?
What do you mean offers?
I'll talk to you about it afterwards.
Okay.
There's a lady who helps run events and like how to get my offers together and get in front of more people to get on more stages.
Okay, so basically helps you get on more stages.
Yeah.
It's offers. First thing I'm thinking is, write a contract.
Oh, no, not that kind of offer. Don't only think about yourself and your industry, Ed.
Exactly. It's all connected.
And then Christine Marie, who, she got up, she talked about human connection, and basically you have to know your values before you can attract the right type of customer. And what's interesting is they always say, once you hear something, you're paying attention to it with your reticular activating system, or RAS, then all of a sudden you see it all the time. Like when you buy a new car, that's the most common example you hear pretty much everywhere. But she was talking about that, she was talking about values. That seems to be like a hot topic word the last 3 or 4 months, is what's your company's values? What's your company's values? And then it seems like once they get that figured out, then people can start chasing who their customers are. And like Brian Stewman talks about that. Somebody else was talking about it the other day, but it's very, very interesting. And who was it? It was Travis that was talking. Was it Travis? No. Yeah. And then she basically, so it was, first you have to know your values. Then you have to figure out,
You're
what
talking
are
values
your
of the corporation, values of your company. So
exactly.
whether or not people want to work with your company to see if that associates with them, correct?
Yep. And then know your nature was number 2. And then why? Because the combination of those two things is what every decision is basically made upon, as we know. She recommended the book, The Gap and the Gain. I've never heard of that one, but a lot of people that were in there said it was a really, really good book. Then, know about your story, because people pay attention to your story, then look for authenticity. 90% of decisions are based on the subconscious and emotions. I thought that was an interesting one, because we always hear
they're emotions. They're all based off of emotions.
Right. Because that's what they say. It's logic first, and then, emotions first. Then we try and back it up with logic. So
the last 10% justify your purchase with the logic.
Yeah. And then
that's why we say all the time, people only buy out of pleasure and pain, and and everybody does stuff emotionally most of the time when they're making that decision.
Yep. Then 86% of customers care more about the experience versus the price. So yes, price is important, and you're going to get the people who are always looking for the cheapest deal, but 86% of the time it's about either the buying experience, the experience you're going to provide for them, more so than what's the price of the product.
Well, it's that whole thing about those 3 things that you can't have, right? You can have only 2 of the 3, right? Good quality or cheap, whatever it is. I bent one of my rims on my truck. I hit something a few weeks ago, and I took it to this guy to straighten it, and he has that statement up there.
Yeah.
Cheap does not have the experience. Experience is not cheap. You know what I mean? Kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's so true. I mean, he fixed my rim in less than 24 hours, and it's perfect.
See, Alan, there you go. If it's 24 hours, some people,
Well, no, I'm just saying I didn't care about time.
Right.
I just wanted it done right. And he did it right. So,
yeah.
And the reason I would have went and bought a new one, but they don't make them anymore.
I think I told you
custom rims are, after a while they go on to the next. So.
Yeah. Oh, I have an Acura RDX, but I bought the larger rims package. And so I bought it's called a A-Spec. So
Hit
they
my
put the
ride.
larger rims on. They put in some of the other things that are special about it. When you go for large rims, they can't fit the spare tire in. So my car doesn't have a spare. Instead, they give you a compressor with Fix-A-Flat. So if you get a decent rip in your tire, you just have to wait and they have to tow it back. There's nothing else to do because they
Can't
won't
get
fit.
a bigger. You can't get a rim and a tire to fit.
That's nope. They don't make one. So when you buy that version of it, they take it all out. Kind of
Yeah,
funny.
but I mean, somebody has to make a tire and whatever the fit for that, because that's like my truck. So my spare,
Mhm.
I dumped a long time ago because it was too small. So what happened was they had, when they were rotating my tires, they stripped one of my to put the cap back on the screws. The guy stripped one of them, and he's like, "I got to buy you a new rim because one of my guys stripped it." Blah blah blah. Okay, and then when he did that, then the next day when I came in to have it put on, I said, "Okay, what are you going to do with that rim?" We're going to just chuck it. I said, "Why don't I pay for a tire and you put it on there, so that way you didn't lose anything."
Oh, there you go.
And then
no,
and then I just tapped that. I just tapped that.
You just tap that.
So I fixed it. It was easy.
You'll like this one. So because we talk about Chat GPT all the time, make sure and put in your original content in your Chat GPT prompts. And Manoj talked also on day one about setting up your tone of voice before you ever put in anything, right? So that was an interesting one. I never think to do it. I always think to do the questions first and then say, put it in this tone of voice or this perspective, this persona. And Manoj was like, no, you need to start off with it that way. And that helps you in a whole variety of things in the way that Chat GPT will put your information out.
I use Chat GPT a lot less than I ever have.
Really?
Well, because every other thing I have uses Chat GPT directly inside of it, right? To go to actually to the site and give it a prompt to do.
Right.
No, I got Cast Magic. That's trycastmagic.com. If you want to try out Cast Magic, that has hugely saved my life when it comes to podcasts, setting these things up for what they're going to be, the descriptions for everything. It's huge. Pre-show everything. It's just the best thing that's ever happened to me. And then the next thing, like I did say, is get Opus Pro or try Opus Pro.
Yeah. And
get Opus Pro, try Opus Clips. I signed up for it, but then I had an issue with something else.
They put it out on YouTube, but they're just basically talking about this. A lot of what you already talked about. B-roll is going to be out there. They're going to be making some other changes, but they're going to be going to a different financial model at the end of November.
Pro or something, right?
Yeah, Pro. And so they're saying, hey, if you're going to buy your additional times, get it now. But I've still got 73 hours. Now, the good news is that 73 hours, if you're already in, I think they said will automatically upgrade to Pro. But it's cool because they said that they actually are going to start doing a lot more of them, because kind of like Go High Level, they want to let you know what they're working on, what's coming out, and they want feedback from other people. So
I don't know if you noticed this, but you can actually start telling it when to post those.
No. Oh, the schedule button now?
Yeah, you can schedule every one of your ones to go to every one of your things you connect with it. My only issue is I can't get my Instagram. And I could swear I have a business account. So
what does it do for your write-up with it when you post the video?
I guess it creates it.
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't done it yet. I just saw that the other day when it was like reconnect your accounts, and I looked at it and it said, go ahead and look right here. And it's like schedule. I was like, what? Because I had scheduled out, I'm over a month out on my regular stuff, but not those videos are different. That's a different scheduling.
So that on that note, Christine was saying she's a big fan of doing the customizing each one for each individual page, right? Facebook, Instagram, or each individual platform, not page. And that's one where her and Steve obviously have different opinions, because Steve teaches post one, copy it across all the other ones. And so that's what, like Ryan Stewman will say the same thing is, whatever is good for one is good for another. Now, some people teach whatever you put on, just let's say TikTok today, you don't put it on Instagram till Wednesday. I'm more of the lazy. Once I have it done and I've written it up, my notes, I do TikTok, then I go to Instagram. Instagram pushes to Facebook. She's not a fan of that, and that kind of surprised me. So it'd be interesting to have her on one day.
Well, I do directly to Instagram. I don't do Facebook and Instagram together.
Oh, see, I do Instagram, and then Instagram will push to Facebook for you.
I do separate reels on
each one. Separate?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what she said is a good thing to do. And I've been lazy. I'm like, all right, just push it to Facebook.
It's not that big of a deal. You just have it open and you go, boop, boop, boop,
Yeah.
copy, paste, you're done.
What else did
Stop
they
being
talk
lazy.
about? Stop looking at vanity metrics. Are you tracking the right things? Because most people are like, oh, how many, likes did I get? Well, likes doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get engagement. And that's something that another lady we'll talk about later said the same thing. Too many people are looking at the wrong things. And really, this day and age, you don't know what it was that made them finally pull the trigger with you unless you're doing advertising directly. So was it the reels today? Was it the combination of you being on them, seeing you across multiple platforms? Was it retargeting? The metrics that people originally were getting, how many followers do I have? How many likes? Doesn't necessarily say that's what made the person pull the trigger. So make sure you're still using all the various things. Are you using newsletters? Are you sending out emails? Are you posting reels? Are you posting photos? You name it. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think what most people don't do and they should do is more testimonials.
Yes. That's funny because somebody I was talking to said we were talking about doing testimonials, and their answer was why. If somebody's giving you a testimonial, especially if they paid for you to be at their event or they bought your product, then they know that they're not going to say you sucked. But I'm like, yeah, but testimonials have been
the wrong
around
way to look
forever.
at it. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm in my area, I'm number 3 for mortgages. And the only reason I'm number 3 is because the guy that's number 1 has 110 reviews and he's up in Sacramento.
Gotcha.
So it has nothing to do with my area. So for me to be as high as I am in my area, that's pretty good. And that's because I have so many reviews. Well, the biggest problem is lately it's a lot harder to get people to do reviews,
Yep. What they did say is also, if you want to see if people are buying subscribers or what people are paying for, you can go to something called Social Blade and it'll let you see other people's metrics. So if you get bored, do that one. And then somebody recommended reading Trust Me, I'm Lying by Ryan Holiday. So, he's known for all the Stoic stuff, but apparently he was the youngest CEO, and he was at either American Apparel or whatever was in the store, one of the stores in the malls. And in there, he tells you in the beginning of the book, like, you're going to hate everything I'm about to tell you because it's all about how media and marketing is used, not maliciously, but they purposely misconstrue things to get eyeballs and attention. So,
of course, everybody does that.
Yep. So that was a good one. And then an interesting one. So, Dave Falk, right?
I know the name. What does he do?
He owns like a reputation repair company. He's got a whole variety of businesses. He's been in War Room. He's got the website. Dave Falk is his name. So the website is Have a Falking Awesome Day.
I know the name.
If you saw him, you'd know him. What's interesting is he advises people to go buy potentially malicious websites that other people could buy to try and cause you harm. So you should go buy like Parcaut is a fraud.com so that somebody else can't take it from you. And go look for edrippedmeoff.com or, something of that nature of if someone was trying to you get one client who's an a-hole and they're willing to pay SEO or something to try and do bad things, go and buy those websites and lock them down now, which was a really interesting thought of you don't think about that when you're buying your name and everything else. So
no, you don't.
Yeah, those were a few of the in there. There's some LinkedIn strategies they gave us. We'll talk about another day. Well, we probably should get somebody who's a good LinkedIn expert on here one day. To talk about what's that?
We should.
Yeah, because we've talked about we've had Go High Level people on. We've had some marketing and branding people, but we need to find someone who's a good LinkedIn person to talk about.
Who knows how to set it up properly, because we all half-ass it.
Right.
We think we're doing amazing, but it's not amazing.
Yeah.
After what I saw what Ralph did to my stuff, I was like, holy shit.
That's just it. Is it worth paying? And we talk about this all the time, right? What are you doing? You should learn some things, when you're getting ripped off. But what are you doing that you should be paying someone else to do to make you money faster? So
I don't know.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, he's a good example of that, right? Like, you could have figured out with Go High Level, taking your time, then you could take an SEO course, and you could take in a website course. Instead, find a guy that's reasonable, that you trust, give him the keys of the kingdom, let him play. So then there's some more people in there. There's a Facebook ads person who crazy with some of the numbers they threw out. Let's just say for what they put in, they got 300% return on what they put in to build their business. I think that those numbers are right.
Well, that could be. Well, I had a bunch of different companies doing that stuff for leads for us, right? And I just didn't like the leads.
Right.
But I found out how they set up their high level so that you can do that.
Right.
So I know the software they use, and Ralph's like, oh, they're using blah, blah, blah. So I was like, what? Is that what that is? I thought it's something they created. Nope. Okay.
So let me see here. Yeah, 300. They got 330% return on the money they ever spent for advertising, and they make over $1 million a year on selling a $7 course and a $1,000 package, and the $7 is recurring every month.
But people forget about it.
Yeah, and that's just it. So you get contradictory advice, but you look at what makes people successful. So find what speaks to you, right? Like I said, she's got a $7, and if people want one-on-one, then she charges $1,000 an hour to go take a look at their ads and help them fix it, and something she calls a power hour. And she said they're full of however many they want of those, because people want them all the time. So it is interesting what's out there. But they were big people. This is the Facebook advertising one. She was like, stop looking at Facebook Ads Manager, because it's only telling you what Facebook knows, and it doesn't know what's going on the other platforms. So back to what we're talking about. Let's say somebody saw you on Instagram, and then they saw you on Facebook, and you're running a Facebook ad, and maybe they didn't buy through that ad, but then they saw you on TikTok later, and they're like, now I'm ready to buy Ed's book, and I'm going to go to getedsbook.com, right? Well, at Facebook's ad manager doesn't tell you all those other things that happen. So don't only look at that and kill something too fast when you can't see the holistic life of something. I thought that was pretty interesting.
All right. I think that should be it. I think we should do a part 2.
I agree. That's what I was going to say, because that's the end of day one anyway. But I would like, right now, she's putting her own stuff together. But the Facebook ads person, some really dynamically different advice than I've heard from other people. I think we definitely got to have her on. And she's going to be promoting her book here soon anyway. So I think in the next month or so, maybe during
the book out already?
It's not out yet. She just sent it for printing.
Oh.
But once she gets it, like, she just talks about, how she uses video ads to plug holes from webinars and all kinds of stuff. And apparently her book is going to be very similar to Russell's, where it's not just going to be a theory book, but they're going to walk you through with pictures and pages of, this is exactly how we do it. So it'll be a tactical manual versus just a book of theory.
Right. My only issue with him is I like everything, but I'm tired of hearing about the potato gun.
Yeah. Well, and through you have to buy his software, right? His books are all basically, here's marketing, but with my product. And so I think hers is going to be more tactical. Yes, she's going to tell you how to do Facebook, but she's not Facebook, if that makes sense. So
it makes sense.
Yes. But you'll be seeing more. So you'll be able to cherry pick what we want to talk about in the future, because I'm going to work on the notes over the weekend, and I'll send them to you.
It's a secret. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's right.
All right, everybody make it. Huh?
Yeah. I was just saying, so it was a good week, but I'm freaking tired.
Yeah, well, that's because you drank too much. We'll just move on from there. Staying out late, drinking too much.
Nah, not out there in New Orleans. No.
All right. Well, let's call it a day today, and we'll pick it back up on Tuesday.
Yeah.
All right. You want to take us out?
Nah.
I brought us in. I brought us in.
Oh, damn it. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us. Remember, we're ACES53. The best way to support is go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Ed, thank you for being here today. We are live on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Normally, it's at noon Central or 10 Pacific, but Tuesdays, usually Ed and I, and on Thursdays, every once in a while, we bring in a joker, which is a guest speaker, to tell us about their little area of expertise or some unique knowledge that they have to help you guys out. So if there's something you want us to cover, let us know. If not, Ed and I just kind of talk about what we've run across, what's helped us, but we're always looking to see what other content do you want to know about? Or if you have one of those skills and you want to be a joker, reach out to us and let us know. How was that, Ed?
That was great. You gonna click
All
the button?
right. Yeah, I'll hit it. All right, see ya.